wanderer of the internet, welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. And thank you so much for clicking on today's video. So by the time that I upload this video, it would officially be the second quarter of 2024. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that mind-blowing how time could fly? I mean, it's scary sometimes. Anyways, in this video, I'm going to talk about something in the past because I'm going to talk about the books that I have finished in the month of March. And I have to say that the number of the books that I have finished in that month was really impressive for me because I haven't read that many books in 1 month for a long time since I was in middle school, I think. So I'm so proud of myself. And I'm gonna do this video in English because all the books that I have finished in March were English books. And if I read some Thai books, I'm going to do the review in Thai. And yeah, with all that out of the way, I feel like I'm so rushed through this video because I'm going to Bruno Mars concert after this, so I'm like kind of in a hurry. Anyway, so now we're going to start with the first book that I've read. So the very first book that I finished in March, I read it in my Kindle, and it was The Wish by Nicholas Sparks. Now, whenever it comes to that name, Nicholas Sparks, I have to say that he will always have a special place in my heart because the very first book that I read from him was The Notebook, and I really loved that book. I loved it so much that I recommended it to my grandmother, and she loved it as well. And I remember we talked about the book, and she shared with me like how she loved the characters, Ellie and Noah, how she really liked the relationship between them, and so on and so forth. You know, it's just a special, beautiful, memorable moment that I share with my beloved late grandmother. So that's why I'm saying when I'm talking about Nicholas Sparks, he would always have a special place in my heart because he, what of that beautiful moment. Now, coming back to The Wish by him, I gave that book 4.5 stars, and trust me, I'm not biased or anything. However, I gave it 4.5 stars. I really loved the book. It was about... Alright, so I was so bad at summarizing this story for you, so I'm just going to read the synopsis. 1996 was the year that changed everything for Maggie Dawes. Sent away at 16 to live with an aunt, she buried news in Ocracoke, a remote village on North Carolina's Outer Banks. She could think only of the friends and family she left behind, until she met Bryce Triggett, one of the few teenagers on the island, handsome, genuine, and newly admitted to West Point. Bryce showed her how much there was to love about the windswept beach town, and introduced her to photography, a passion that would define the rest of her life. By 2019, Maggie is a renowned photographer. She split her time between running a successful gallery in New York and photographing remote locations around the world. But this year, she is unexpectedly grounded over Christmas, struggling to come to terms with a sobering medical diagnosis. Increasingly dependent on a young assistant, she finds herself becoming close to him. As they count down the last day of the season together, she begins to tell him the story of another Christmas, decades earlier, and the love that set her on a course she never could have imagined. I really like the feeling when I read it. It's like I read The Notebook all over again, not in terms of the story, but in terms of the vibe, the emotion that it kind of like has to offer to me when I was reading it. I don't know how to explain it, but it's probably like Nicholas Sparks' charm. And the story is Nicholas Sparks. It's pretty predictable in a way. However, when a time comes, I still felt so emotional about the story, about whatever I thought I was prepared for. And I don't know, the story is so easy to understand and easy to connect to. That's why I really love this book. Yeah, that was the first book. I forgot to bring this out with the rest of the books, but this one is my second read of the month, and it is Matilda by Roald Dahl. And this one is a reread for me because I read this like a couple of years before, and I decided to reread this book because I dressed up at Matilda for the book fair in my school, my workplace. And of course, I mean, Matilda is one of the characters that is easy to dress as. But yeah, the story is, of course, it's not going to be complicated. It's not going to be hard to understand. It's children's literature. And the classic Roald Dahl story, it's funny. I remember that I didn't laugh that much when I first read it, but when I reread it, I feel like this book is funnier than I remembered, which is a good thing. I can't remember how much did I give it on Goodreads. Maybe 3 or 4 stars. Sorry, I cannot remember, but it's a good story. The third book that I read in March, and this one is the only classic book that I read this month, which is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I remember when I was about to read it, I was so excited because, you know, kind of like I wanted to read something scary, something like I want to read horror story, maybe not too scary, but I want to read something that is eerie and a little spooky. However, that is so wrong for me because this book is not anything like that at all. I don't know why, maybe because the word gothic that comes with this book that makes me think of spiritual stuff or supernatural thing. Of course, you're going to see some of the supernatural thing in this book. However, it's not the main essential of the books. Basically, this one is like a soap opera drama story, like the chaos between two families that I don't really understand. How can they not, like, you know, get rid of each other? Why is it so hard to get rid of each other? Not really what I expected, obviously. However, don't get me wrong, I like the language and stuff. At first I got intimidated by this book because it's a classic, and I remember I read classic when I was in college and I had a hard time trying to understand the story. However, when it comes to Wuthering Heights, I did not really get that trouble that much, which is surprising and good. It's not hard to understand. However, the story is not really what I expected it to be, and I was not really prepared for that kind of drama. So 3 stars. 3 stars for me. The last but not least book that I have read in March is, what's the name again? Small Things Like These by Keegan. I only heard good things about this book, about this author. So, of course, I was so excited to read her book, especially this thing. Especially it is made into a movie starring Cillian Murphy. I was so excited to read it, and I really wanted to watch the movie as well. However, after I finished it, it's pretty small book, only 110 pages, So I finished it in 2 days. I like the feeling. I like the vibe, the lonely and empty vibe that I get from this book. I feel like I don't really speak in much sense anymore, so I'm just gonna read what I wrote on my reading journal over here. A calm, almost peaceful vibe novella from an Irish author. I like the slow, lonely, and empty mood of the book in the beginning. The tension and myths that soon followed was intriguing. However, it felt quite flat for me at the end. I feel like I need more detail, I need more attention, I need more fight. Okay, the ending feels like the beginning of something big and important, and unfortunately I didn't get to know what will happen after. I stuck from time to time while reading, maybe because it's an Irish book. I don't know what that means. So there are some words or spellings or phrase that I am not really familiar with, and I'm not a native speaker, obviously. And yeah, I have to reread the phrase or the situation again to try to comprehend what I just read, something like that. I feel like, yeah, talking about language in this book, I feel like I had a hard time comprehending this book more than I did with Wuthering Heights, the book that I really like. I was intimidated by that book. Surprisingly, I had to reread the phrase quite a lot of times. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it was like the slow pace, the calm thing that kind of like make my conscious just like fly away. And when I come back, like, oh, I already read past that thing, or what did I just read? Something like that, you know, like I got that feeling a lot when I read this book. So, and that was it. The 4 books that I have officially finished in the month of March. And I just gonna mention about this one because I started this in March, like at the end of March, and obviously I cannot finish it in time, but I do have some thoughts about this book because I'm already like about halfway through it already. I borrowed this book from my workplace, from the school library, and it's Hatchet by Gary Paulsen. One of my coworkers recommended this book to me. Yeah, basically about a 13-year-old boy who got stranded in the wilderness. And yeah, it's a very interesting book. I think it's going to be a pretty fast read. But one thing that I do notice is that the writing is kind of repetitive. I can understand that as well because the repetitiveness is kind of like the main character trying to keep himself sane during this difficult time, and he is all alone. So, I mean, I have never been alone in the nothingness, you know, in the wilderness before. So it must be very, very like nerve-wracking. And probably I would probably do the same thing, you know, to like keep myself sane, like repeat the same word, the same routine again and again and again to myself to like, okay, I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm facing right now and what is the plan for the next day or the next hour or the next minute. So excited to continue reading this and finish it. If I like it or whatever, I have like new thoughts about this book, I'm probably gonna mention this in my April wrap up, if that's gonna come in the future. And those are my 4.5 books that I have read in March. I've never felt so rushed in a video in my entire life, but like I said, it's not that many occasions that I'm gonna get dressed up, put my makeup on, and do this thing. But I'm going to the concert after this. I'm going to Bruno Mars concert. So I took the opportunity to film as well. Yeah, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.